want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot on my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling. Kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Taking no else, yeah, I gotta win. Watch me kick down the doors, they won't let me in. Who running the game now? Foot on the gas, can slow down. No, my team, we holding it down. We know we running it now. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change. Watch the game change.
Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. The refs tried to give this one away to the Denver Nuggets, and the Cleveland Cavaliers would not have it. Let's fucking go. Welcome to another edition of the It's Cavalier podcast. It's your boy Mac, and tonight our Cleveland Cavaliers took on the Denver Nuggets, a team sporting a former MVP of their own, Nikola Jokic, a living legend. Perhaps you have heard of him, lover of horse races, the man that was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. Yeah, that guy. But it wasn't that guy initially that was hurting the Cavaliers. No, my friends, right out of the gate, that was Julian Schroder, the third-year wing. Isn't necessarily having a world-breaking season as he came into tonight averaging just 5.7 points and 2 rebounds. He scored 11 of Denver's first 15 points, half of which came from beyond the arc. And I guess it's a little bit of a lie to say that Jokic wasn't hurting the Cavs as he doled out multiple assists early on. Jamal Murray was also active in that regard, connecting with Strother on a number of these. And as I'm sitting here, guys, and I'm reading my notes, I just can't do it, right? You guys know how I like to do. I'm very process-oriented. I like to go through the description of the game. I try and break things down, sometimes more surface level than in-depth analysis, and sometimes vice versa. Whatever I'm feeling, the general flavor of the night is. But I can't do it tonight. I'm just gonna have to forgo. I'm gonna have to forgo the typical notations. I just can't do it. The Cavaliers, for all intents and purposes, for most of this game, should have lost. The refs were on some bullshit tonight. They truly were on some bullshit tonight. And I can't express to you enough how pissed off I was watching this game at points where I'm like, why are these guys not getting the proper calls? Why is James Harden driving towards the rim, getting smacked upside his head, upside your head, and not getting a call like he would out in LA? Just absolutely ridiculous. Why is Jarrett Allen getting fouls called on him when he's getting hooked, when he's getting elbowed, when he's getting knocked on his ass, right? It's just a whole bunch of fuckery that was going on tonight from these refs. And I try so hard not to blame the refs for specific things, but I'm sorry, it was getting out of hand tonight. I don't want to make it all about that because this was a phenomenal performance. But the Cavaliers, my God, man, there were so many no calls out there. And still, the stat sheet will show that as a team, the Cavaliers attempted 22 of those, with Donovan Mitchell and James Harden drawing most of the contact. And rightfully so. They deserve more than what they got tonight. But the free throw disparity was ridiculous. Nikola Jokic and company attempted 35. They knocked down 28 of those. That's 80% to Cleveland's 81.8%. Again, don't want to make it all about the free throws because this was a hell of a game just from an objective standpoint. Unbiased viewer. If you are not a fan of the Denver Nuggets, if you are not a fan of the Cleveland Cavaliers, you can honestly say to yourself, this is probably a fun watch if you're an objective observer. All of that said, there was so much that occurred in this game, right? As I mentioned before, Julian Schroder right out of the gate was absolutely annihilating the Cavaliers as he scored 11 of their first 15 points. Some of that, or rather the half of that, was in the corner, knocking down triples. But Donovan Mitchell, much like he does most nights when you need him, he steps up. He would end up shouldering a massive amount of the offensive load as Cleveland was struggling at times from a consistency standpoint and an offensive flow, and predictably so after this trade and the absences of some key players out there, especially in the front court with Dean Wade, and Evan Mobley and Max Strus, right? Still hasn't played all season long. But Don, much like he's done all season, he scored 13 of Cleveland's 26 first quarter points. He was flat out awesome tonight. So many highlight reel finishes, so many drives to the rim or along the baseline, so many timely baskets knocked down, so many huge assists doled out when you needed him to. And I'll just start the pod off right there, as Donovan Mitchell was absolutely phenomenal tonight. The stat sheet for one Donovan Mitchell will read against the Denver Nuggets: 32 fucking points. His 27th 30-plus point game of this season. That is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous that this man has been able to put together the type of production that he has all season long. 1 rebound, 10 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, was 11 of 23 from the field. That is 47.8%. Was just 3 of 10 from three-point distance, but who the fuck cares? It comes in a win. Donovan Mitchell was awesome in this one. And you can't understate the value of a superstar, the level of a Donovan Mitchell, who will carry a team when they clearly don't have it most nights. The other component to this was obviously James Harden in his second game as a Cleveland Cavalier would put up 22 points, pull down 10 rebounds, his first double-double as a Cleveland Cavalier. This was one for the books, man. 7 assists out there, 4 blocks. To me, listen, I don't care what anybody else says. And I know NBA.com has his block total listed at 4 for today, which is just absolutely ridiculous. That's actually a season high for him. It's absolutely crazy that James Harden was out there, the best part of what he was doing, because the facilitation was awesome, as we have become accustomed to seeing and knowing it to be. But perhaps the best thing about his performance tonight was his help defense, which resulted in those 4 blocks. Again, a season high. You love to see that shit. And for those of you who didn't necessarily catch my initial breakdown of Harden, I feel it warranted to mention at this time the fact that while he will never be considered a shot blocker, he has indeed graded well as a post defender this season. He's actually in the 89th percentile in this area so far. It's been nice to see him commit more energy on that end of the floor. He's always racked up a ton of deflections and been able to pick your pocket in an area that he is quite honestly also graded well in, within the 82nd percentile to be exact. But to see him performing at a higher level overall as a defender, especially as a help defender, that's quite nice. And I think that kind of comes along with the territory of not having to shoulder as much of an offensive load and being able to defer and lean on somebody like a Donovan Mitchell. And that is no disrespect to Ivica Zubac or Kawhi Leonard, mostly Kawhi Leonard, because Zubac was heavily dependent on Harden to get him involved in the offensive flow of things. But I don't think he hasn't played with somebody the caliber of a ball handler since the Kyrie days, right? So that being said, I do expect Harden, while he won't finish with 4 damn blocks more often than not, you will see an increased effort in the effort area category specifically from Harden, as long as he is not made to handle such a high amount of the usage out there, and he can defer to a Donovan Mitchell. He can get the ball to a Jaylen Tyson. He can get downhill and get Jarrett Allen involved at the rim. And speaking of Jarrett Allen, we'll circle back to James Harden here in a minute. Speaking of Jarrett Allen, listen, this man continues to not get the respect that he deserves. This was another performance where he finished with a double-double, his 4th straight game, I believe, in that specific category. He would finish with 22 points, 13 rebounds, an assist, and was 10 of 16 from the field, ladies and gentlemen. Jarrett Allen has been tearing it the fuck up. Give this man the respect that he deserves, because he has been balling lately. And yeah, some of that does coincide with the trade acquisition of James Harden, but he was actually doing this before Harden got here. Over his last 6 games, Jarrett Allen is averaging, I shit you not, 21.7 points, 11.2 rebounds, and 2.5 assists to go along with 1 steal and 1 block on a mind-numbing 70.9% from the field. That is his last 6 games. In his last 6 games, he has put up 20 or more in 3 of them. He scored the 40-point game against Portland, having a phenomenal historical stat line. He put up 29 and 10 against Sacktown, and tonight he puts up 22 and 13. Give this man the respect that he deserves. I said this, and I know it's probably not a popular opinion because he is dependent on others to set him up, but there is a reality in which you can view Jarrett Allen as a top 5 center in this league. Yes, there are names ahead of him. Yes, there's an argument for Jarrett to not be up that high, but I'm telling you guys, with Jarrett, with James Harden in town and with Donovan Mitchell making more of a concerted effort to get him the ball more in opportune areas, especially around the rim, whether that be off of dump off passes or entry passes or whatever, what have you, or out in transition. Jarrett Allen can be this type of player every single night if you are giving him the ball. I said this the other day. He is a 20 and 12 guy from here on out. He may not get that from a statistical standpoint once Evan Mobley gets back. But I don't think you can argue at all about Jarrett Allen's effectiveness and impact, because when you involve this guy, he can usually good things are going to happen for you and the rest of the team. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened tonight. 10 to 16 from the floor. Again, over this dude's last 6 games, 21, 11, and 2.5. That's on crazy amounts of efficiency, 70.9% from the field, a true shooting percentage of 71.2%. Just absolutely insane efficiency from Jarrett Allen. I love it, man. Absolutely love it. I'm on top of the world right now with that, because there's so many people out there that wanted to trade Jarrett Allen. You know who the fuck you are in this chat. I'm not going to call you out by name, but you know who you are. There's a ton of people on social media that would tell you the same thing. But with James Harden in town, he's becoming even more impactful, even more important as a piece. The same can be said for a number of other players on this roster after the Harden acquisition and after the departure of DeAndre Hunter in particular. Hint, Dean Wade, need you to get healthy. That being said, it wasn't just the trio of Donovan, James, and Jarrett Allen that were they had themselves a game. I honestly thought that Jaylen Tyson, and more specifically the second half, because the first half wasn't as great of a half for Jaylen Tyson, but Tyson turned things around in a major way in the third quarter and onward. I mean, honestly, quite honestly, he had himself a third quarter. Just the energy he provided on the glass, that's one thing, right? Putting the effort and energy and hustle into pulling down offensive rebounds, something he did tonight, pulling down 2 of those. I know he would only finish with 3 rebounds overall, but you could see the effort level out there despite the ankle bothering him at times. But aside from that, putting the ball on the floor, attacking closeouts, cutting to the basket, putting yourself in positions where Harden and Mitchell can get the ball to you. That's the type of stuff we want to see, because we know that with Harden in town, the on-ball reps are going to go down. And Tyson had been coming into his own as an on-ball creator. We saw the chemistry and connection that he was developing really nicely with Jarrett Allen. And you'll see that from time to time, but now he's going to be functioning off-ball more than he already was. And one thing that I've continuously said this season is that Jaylen Tyson is like the perfect piece at the 3 most of the time because of his malleability, right? He can often morph into what you need him to be at the drop of a hat. It's not always going to be pretty. There will be games where you're like, maybe we should have turned Dean Wade's way. Or maybe we should have given Naquan Tomlin a look or something like that. But Jaylen Tyson, more often than not, is malleable depending upon the situation and what it calls for. Do you need him to knock down that off-ball shot from the corner? He'll do it. Do you need him to get on the ball and get the ball and deliver it to Jarrett Allen down towards the rim off of a drive, running the pick and roll? He can do that. Do you need him to hit a floater right from that mid-range area? He can do that. Do you need him to step up on the defensive end as a point of attack defender? You don't always rely on that on the best defender or the best opposing ball handler, but he can do it. He is getting better despite some of the fouls that we have seen from him early in the career. But what I'm trying to say here is that Tyson is this piece that can function either on or off the ball. And that's a very important piece to have, especially for a team that needs more of that, frankly, guys who can be impactful without the ball in their hands. And they have more after this trade deadline pass, but still, Tyson, after having somewhat of a down performance just the other day against the Clippers and a so-so first half, he really turned it around in the second half of this game. And as a result, he would finish with 16 points, 3 boards, an assist, and was 6 of 13 from the field, including 4 of 9 from three-point distance. That is 44.4%. So happy to see Tyson turn things around. He is a piece that I do feel like should remain in that starting lineup even once Dean Wade gets back. But I certainly understand the reasoning behind wanting to start Dean if you're Kenny Atkinson because of the defensive capabilities and the size that the Cavaliers are lacking right now in the front court, to be quite honest with you. But Tyson, though he drew the start tonight at the 4, and I will point this out because I know it'll probably be lost in the shuffle because the Cavaliers did end up winning this game. The one thing that I will say is this. From a statistical standpoint, Tyson at the 4 has not looked all that great this year. Now, mind you, he's only played 9% of his minutes at the power forward position this year. It is not nearly as extreme as it was during his rookie season, where they elected to give him minutes there a lot more often, even as sporadic as it was as a rookie year. It was a lot more sporadic last season, but it still accounted for a large chunk of his time out there on the court. This year, the 9% that he has spent there, the ratings are horrible, right? The Cavaliers have an offensive rating of 107.1 and a defensive rating of 119.2 when he does. And they have a point differential of negative 12.1 in those lineups when he is at the 4, at the power forward position. He can do it to a degree. You just don't want to lean on that. And you certainly don't want to put him in a position where he has to do that for a large stretch of time. And that is without Dean Wade out there, without Evan Mobley out there, with no DeAndre Hunter on the roster anymore. You're asking him to play up a position at the power forward, let alone not just coming off the bench and providing minutes there. You're asking him to start there. And so what does that do? That puts a lot more onus on team rebounding, for one, and it puts a lot more on Jarrett Allen as an individual to help cover up for a lot of that size discrepancy. So that's a tough ask of him. And I think that Jarrett Allen has shown brightly and has performed very, very well, obviously, despite that, but it does put a lot more stress on him. That being said, right, I do want to take this time to say that I was a little surprised that Kenny Atkinson did not elect to give Larry Nance Jr. A few minutes tonight. And listen, I get it. For those of you who are out there feeling as if Larry has nothing left to give, or that he should not be involved in the rotation at any capacity, I just think I look at Jonas Valanciunas out there. I look at Nikola Jokic, 2 very, very stationary bigs, not guys who will get out and run the floor with the best of them most of the time. I think Larry could have been beneficial tonight. And I understand that we got from some minutes from Thomas Bryant that were at times impactful, but I think you probably could have thrown Nance a few minutes as well. That's just my thoughts. For what it's worth, Thomas Bryant was a plus 24 tonight. That is that's pretty damn good from a plus minus standpoint, and he would knock down 3 of his 5 shots. That said, I do believe that Larry should have been given some time tonight. I think that this would have been a perfect opportunity, because if there's at points, especially with the Cavaliers rotation being what it is, I do think that there are spots where you can go matchup based, and you're seeing that with Thomas Bryant. He hasn't been consistently played all season long. It's only now that the Cavaliers don't have some of these guys available that they're going Thomas Bryant's way. And Bryant played 15 minutes and 17 seconds of action tonight, and he did about as good as he could against Nikola Jokic. That's a tough ask. But I still think they should have elected to give him some more time. And, you know, by all means, I do love Naquan Tomlin. I just think that you should have gotten some minutes there. And that being the case, somebody else I really want to kind of point to tonight, is Keon Ellis. Keon Ellis, despite having some issues knocking down the shot at points, uh, I can see where Kenny Atkinson is going with the rotational lineups, with the rotational adjustments here. It seems that he has elected to have him come in at the start of fourth quarters, and he was the first sub tonight. It is worth noting that, but that does come with the caveat of Sam Merrill. And this is something I neglected to mention. I just knew the Cavaliers were going to be in for a fight tonight after the first 3 minutes, because that is when Sam Merrill picked up his first 3 fouls of the game within the first fucking 3 minutes. Like, holy hell. Tough to see that. Tough to see that happen, which obviously that gave way to Keon Ellis in just his 3rd game as a Cavalier. And I thought that at least early on, he continued to be impactful, working hard out there and hustling on the defensive end while making sure to be a connective offensive piece out there. Now, overall, Keon, he would finish with just 2 points, a block, a steal, an assist, and 3 rebounds. But he would also go 0 of 4 from 3-point range. And he had some very good looks. And listen, I'm not piling or shitting on Keon Ellis at all. I love the pickup. I just wish he would have knocked some of those down, because it would have made the game a lot less antsy. It would have made me a lot less antsy than I ended up being down the stretches of this game, because he had some really good looks at that 3 ball, and it just did not fall for him tonight. But I remain invested in Keon Ellis, just his 3rd game here. I do think Kenny Atkinson should have gone to him earlier than he did. I don't understand why he elected to sit him for as long as he did, outside of just trying to keep things consistent. But I'm a believer. Dennis Schroder didn't necessarily have the best game tonight. Just 2 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3-point range himself. It was a -14. That's a game worst, or rather a team worst for him. And he would finish with just 5 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 2 rebounds. A couple of things I want to make mention of here in regards to Dennis Schroder. Number one, let's get the bad out of the way first. Let's talk about the bad first. As much as same line of thought here with Keon Ellis. I love Dennis Schroder. Love both of these acquisitions. Perfect fits, I think, for what the Cavaliers need right now: ball handling, point of attack defense. In regards to Dennis, one thing that I will say is this: I legitimately think that he needs to rein it in at times with the 3-point shots. And this was the case even before he got to Cleveland. Dennis, his shot selection at times can leave a little be desired. I think that he gets a little too 3 happy, and this kind of fits in line with the Cavaliers in general, right? Sometimes when you want them to just put the ball on the floor and attack the basket, attack the rim with rim pressures relentlessly, and now they have the guys capable of doing that in Harden, in Don, in Schroder, right, and Tyson, a number of others. Like, put the ball on the floor. Stop taking the 3-point shot. It's not there, bro. Just get to the rim. We know you can. We saw you do it tonight. He's one of these guys out there that can be an effective slasher, but sometimes gets a little too happy to hoist that 3-point shot, even when he is being contested. So that's the gripe. That's the gripe that I have with Dennis. That's the bad out the way. The good, the point of attack defense. Dennis, I continuously say this, and I'll mention it again for the 100th time. Dennis is underrated at the point of attack. Dennis is somebody that, frankly, can be a chaos agent out there. He's not quite Keon Ellis in terms of like making defensive highlight reel worthy blocks or steals, right, at the point of attack. But he has somebody that is pesky as hell and being a pickpocket out there and poking the ball away from you and getting out into the passing lanes and yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. I legitimately believe that Dennis is somebody that does not get as much respect as he probably deserves on that end. And I do understand that some of that is just purely energy. It's not always going to be pretty. He will get beaten off the dribble at times, as a lot of defenders do. But I've been impressed by what I've seen from him. I'll follow his career. Obviously, he's always a player that one I hated playing against because he's had this thing where he just goes off against Cleveland at the drop of a hat in random matchups. He's played for 10 plus teams, right? I think this is 11th team. But what I will say is this: we needed somebody like him on this roster, not only from a pure like on court standpoint, like the skill set that he brings to the table in terms of ball handling. We needed an asshole, right? We needed somebody that has a little bit of attitude out there, somebody that will bring some competitive fire that was left when George Niang got shipped off. We needed somebody like that. And Dennis does bring that energy. So I love what these guys bring to the table, but I had to get my gripes out in regards to those. And on the other side of things here, I do have to kind of pay my respects to somebody who I think that has like made the insane seem routine, and that is Nikola Jokic. This dude, right? He has made triple doubles. He has made triple doubles seem just so pedestrian. Like, oh, anybody can do that shit. Nikola Jokic tonight finished with 22 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 steals, and a block. And yeah, he did turn the ball over six times, but he has a gargantuan workload. He is the straw that stirs the proverbial drink. And he has some questionable antics out there at times, especially the elbows. But to me, it's just like, you have to appreciate the level of greatness that this guy brings to the table. I cannot sit up here just because it's a Cavalier stream and not pay him the respect that he deserves as an all-time great. Like, Nikola Jokic is a fucking beast out there. I just don't know how else to phrase it. This guy is absolutely ridiculous. He doesn't really attempt a ton of threes, just 2 tonight, 0 of 2, but he was 10 of 12 from the charity stripe. He gets to the line a lot, and he's typically efficient out there. I love to watch Jokic play, objectively speaking. I know, again, it's a little questionable at times with the fouls, but you got to respect that type of greatness out there because he's a multiple-time MVP. He's a 3-time MVP at this point in his career, and I think that we've gotten to this point where there's like fatigue in regards to voting for guys like him once they get to a certain point. And we saw it with LeBron for so many seasons where he should have won the MVP. Hell, James Harden has been on has been on the other side of that, where like he has a season where you think that LeBron should have won, but James takes it away. And it happens with greats all the time. Like, you get so used to them putting up these crazy numbers and these crazy totals and doing things that no other player can do for a long period of time, and people just get used to it. And I think that we get to a point where we're starting to take it for granted. So props to Nikola Jokic. Wasn't the only player that stood out to me tonight, but obviously he is the head of the snake over there in Denver. I thought that Christian Brown, right, is somebody that obviously he gets paid the big bucks now. You got to perform like a star after getting the type of contract that he got. And tonight was a very solid performance from him. 20 points, 5 boards, was 7 of 13 from the field, including 4 of 8 from deep. He hit some back-breaking shots at points, especially from 3-point distance. Hated to see that. As soon as Cleveland would get on a run or they would pull to within it, this motherfucker just drills a tray to put the Denver to put the Denver Nuggets back up. And there was one in particular that I had down here in my notes where it's like, oh, the Cavaliers, you're getting close. And then Brown decides that he's going to drill a triple. And I think it was in the third quarter, right? He put the Nuggets up 5 with a little over 6 to go in the third frame. I think the score at that point was 76-71. And this was after the Cavaliers got it to within, I want to say, 2 points, 71-73, and then he drills that triple, and it's like, this is going to be a battle down to the wire. And it was, right? Obviously, and he did that a good number of times tonight, as did Julian Strawther. I think that you just really got to give it to them for what they were able to do tonight, because that's a very difficult team to play against at times, and they're not even at full strength. They're dealing with some injury issues of their own, right? So all credit where it's due. Hell of a performance. This was a great win. This is a great win. Objectively speaking, this is a great game. And had the Cleveland Cavaliers, let me clarify for this. I mean, let me clarify this rather. Had the Cavaliers lost tonight, to be honest with you guys, I wouldn't have been pissed because I feel like legitimately considering the circumstances, all the context, and I know you never want to say this out loud, never want to admit this. I would have been okay considering the context. I honestly, I believe that with the trades that have happened, with guys trying to figure out and build a chemistry with one another, obviously James Harden being at the forefront of that, going on this West Coast trip where you are where you are traveling so much. You're traveling so much. I wouldn't have been that mad. I thought that they gave a ton of fight. They came back in this one. I wouldn't have been pissed, right? This is honestly one of those games where I wouldn't have been all that mad had they lost, considering the context and the circumstances. But I'm glad they pulled it out. It was an enjoyable victory, if there has ever been one. I absolutely enjoyed this game tonight thoroughly, and I think that you guys, hopefully you did too. That being said, let me go ahead and hop into the chat, and we'll call it a night after that, shall we? I'm trying to go all the way back here so much. And I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. It's nearly 1,500 of you guys. By the way, if you're still here, do your boy a favor, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber to this Cavalier podcasts, all the good stuff that I always tell you guys, the house cleaning stuff. Let's see here. Hailstone says, let's go. Good, gritty win. Obviously. Yes. Love it. Hit the nail right on the head. Chaz Erica says, bah. Can't believe they pulled that out. HJ17 Gaming says, what a fucking game. Yes, that was an awesome performance. Nicotine 2977 says, Uno came through in the clutch once again. What a comeback. Listen, this trade is growing on me by the day. I've been transparent in this. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys, oh, I love this. Because honestly, you saw me on these streams. You saw how heartbroken. You saw the tears nearly well. I'm just kidding. But obviously, I was very distraught with that move being made just because of the timing of it all, and just because of the fan of Darius Garland I've been. But what I can say to you is that it's growing on me by the day. What I said during the initial stream is James Harden is not going to win me over with one performance. It's not going to win me over for the rest of the regular season. To me, it'll be about what they end up doing in the playoffs. But this is a good ass start. I mean, seriously, even if you weren't a fan of this trade, you have to admit to yourself, like, the Cavaliers are playing at a higher level than they were. And that is not nothing. That's something in my eyes. Whatever side of the aisle that you stand on in regard to the trade. This is a good start to the James Harden era. And when they're not even at full strength, you still don't have Evan Mobley. Dean Wade's been in and out. You don't have Max Strus. Who the fuck knows when he's coming back? Rumors of Jason Tatum coming back before Max Strus. Who the fuck saw that coming? It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Kneecap says, beat them and the refs. Yes. Again, I hate using ref ball as an excuse, but sometimes it's undeniable. Like, it just looks ridiculous. There should be a little bit more. It should be a little bit more neutrality in terms of some of these calls being made out there. Dynasty Grow says that was a great game. Yes, it was. I'll say that again and again and again. Even if you're not a fan of either of these teams, this was a great game, objectively speaking. Sparking says good shit. Yep. Chazerka says successful road trip. Yes, indeed. I absolutely love the Cavaliers showing heart out there, hustle out there, and a comeback victory. HJ17 Game says, chat, are we back? We are undeniably back. Bucknuck says, Tyson is clutch. Corey Duns says, unreal dub. Corey Guns reference. Man, 6'7". 6'7", like not even 6'7". That's stupid ass shit. I'm tired of hearing that. My kids, I can't go a day without hearing that shit. But 6'7". That song is almost 16 years old now. Jawan Sylvan says Denver announcers on drugs. Man, oh man. Cavalier says, what a game. Number 17 says, crazy fun game. Michael Malone says, step back three for the tie or clutch or 2 clutch free throws to win. Which better? Great to have that question after a great win. Listen, I'll take the step back 3 any day of the week. I will take that any day of the week. Free throw is always good though, especially when you have guys that aren't going to miss those. Soft Taco says, great game. Jonah Quest says, yo, yep. Jacob says, let's fucking go. Yes, let's go. Cavs King 2016 says, Harden having 3 blocks, 4, I think. Maybe they adjusted it since I've been in here, but I had the actual NBA.com stats listed as of recording this. And I think he was listed with 4. Maybe they took that down. I don't know. But either way, you get the point. He was phenomenal as a help defender tonight. Let's see. What else? What else we got here? Dr. Claw says the Cavaliers uniform decreases foul calls by 65%. It is now confirmed. I highlighted this ad nauseum during the breakdown of James Harden. By the way, go check that out if you haven't hit the like button on that video. Never know how much it helps your boy out. But he came to the Cavaliers averaging the 6th most free throw attempts per game for anybody in the NBA. In the last time the Cavaliers had I believe, a top 10 guy in that category was 2014-15 LeBron. It's been that long. Donovan Mitchell can't get there. He's gone close. Colin Sexton has gotten close, or he was close during the 2020-21 season. He was 12th that year, I believe. Either way, you hear what I'm saying here. James Harden, he has not gotten the benefit of the doubt with that whistle. I had that note down. I was writing this down as we were seeing it play out in real time. It was really, really beginning to grate on me because here's the thing, right? I'll be transparent with you guys. I think that if you did not watch his first game with the Cavs, if you did not watch his debut and you just looked at the stats, you might see that 4 free throw attempts that he got in that game and chalk it up to not getting calls. But that was more so not driving to the rim as much because he only drove the ball 5 total times that game. Donovan Mitchell drove the ball 21 times during that game. Today, however, was a different story. It was a completely different story. He got to the rim at will numerous times, looking for his shot at the rim, right? Absorbed a metric ton of contact and did not get the calls that he would normally get if the name on the front of the jersey said Los Angeles Clippers, right? Adding fuel to the proverbial fire that is people's belief that Cleveland players just don't get calls. I gotta say, I wasn't a fan of it tonight. I legitimately believe that he should have gotten more than the 6 free throw attempts that he got. But we'll see if that it becomes a recurring theme for this team moving forward. And James Harden specifically, who again was top 6 in the NBA when he joined the Cavaliers. He's taken 10 free throw attempts through his first 2 appearances. That's 5 per game. Half. We go from 10 plus to 5. I don't know, man. Man's got a point. Dr. Claw has a point, guys. Let's see here. Guns N' Roses says it's not hating; it's just realizing we couldn't depend on Garland his injuries. I'm assuming people are having different discussions in this chat, so I'll have to skip that one for now. Dr. Claw says the Cavs after 2018 could easily have been the Kings several times over. The Beeline hire, one of the worst hires that I've ever witnessed for this team. Not the worst, one of the worst though. What was the comment that he said? Was thugs? He called them thugs and tried to say he was calling they were playing like slugs. Was that the quote that he put out there? I mean, that was like 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago. D Jackson H1K says, wait, tell him to get this straight. That 3 that Harden made at the rest trying to call it off as a 2. Ridiculous. I posted the clip of that. It was clearly a 3 and it was clearly a foul. I don't know why they were reviewing it to see whether or not it was a 2 or a 3. They should have been reviewing it or should have called it on the floor as a foul. It's ridiculous. Goes back to the point I was just making. Cavalier says he gets attacked constantly, though, especially at the 3. He does, but the bulk of his production as a free throw drawer, terrible term, by the way. There's a better way I probably could have phrased that, but you understand what I'm saying here. He draws the bulk of his contact at the rim. Cole also says, also the Beyond hire included assistant Bickerstaff, which saved the Cavs to go looking for a new coach on the rebuild. Yes. For all that people have said about John Blair Bickerstaff, JB, JB really helped initiate this, like the prior era, because I think we're in a new era now. I think you can necessitate or mandate this is a new era because of James Harden's acquisition. But the Cavaliers, as we really started to pick things back up during the early 2020s, that started with JB putting a foundation in place from a defensive standpoint. So I got to give him credit. Happy he's doing well in Detroit. Did not end well in Cleveland, but still. Dr. Claus 77 also says Marcus Morris is the reason anyone in the Cavs think about signing should get a background check beforehand. His comments after the 24 playoffs were signs of brain damage. That was bad. That was a bad interview that he did. And I give him credit for the performance he had against Boston, where he like nearly single-handedly, it wasn't just him, obviously. There were other standouts in that game, but he was a big one in that. I just wish he wouldn't have opened his mouth. Elephant 3237 says, Yo, Mac, what NBA team do you hate or dislike the most? I mean, to me, it's probably the Boston Celtics. I have a deep ingrained hate for the Boston Celtics. My best friend is a Boston Celtics fan. I can't tell you how many times I heard growing up about their success, their historical success. Even after the Cavaliers won their first ring in 2016, the first thing I heard from my best friend was, you got a long way to go. You know how it is with specific fan bases, but it's the Boston Celtics. Golden State Warriors are number 2, but it's Boston. Let's see here. How Game Talk says Bickerstaff is a good coach, but the locker room just hates him. They certainly don't hate him over in Detroit. That's got to mean something. As Dino says, Stewart crash out. Yeah, I saw that. That was crazy. That whole blow up that Charlotte and Detroit had with Miles Bridges and Jalen Duren and Beef Stew and company. That was crazy. And then Musa Diabite. Crazy. Absolutely crazy stuff. We're getting off the rails here, but yeah, you guys understand. D Jackson X1K says, do you honestly believe we can win a ring this season with everybody healthy? I do. I think at the very least we can win the East. Listen, there's nobody in that Western Conference that screams like world beater. And that is no disrespect to OKC, but I don't think OKC looks as dominant as they were last year. I do think that there's a little bit of a chink in that armor. I do believe that they're not unbeatable. But before we even get there, motherfuckers got to get through the East. This is not going to be a cakewalk. The Cavaliers have to earn that, right? Well, I've only gone to the second round. Haven't gotten past that in the Donovan Mitchell era in Cleveland. Be nice to get to the Eastern Conference Championship for once. So, and again, like, you got to understand there's like steps in place, but yeah, I do believe that as presently constructed, and there are obvious flaws with this roster still, even after these moves. But I do think that if things shake out a specific way, if guys can stay healthy for once, which is asking a lot, yeah, they have a chance. The East is wide open. The West is pretty crazy, but I do believe that nobody is unbeatable. Nobody unbeatable. Guns N' Roses says that's true with OKC. They're not as good as last year. They are elite, though. They're still elite, as Bendo says. They've suffered so many injuries this year. I do have to be transparent in saying that at the very least, but I don't think they're as dominant as they were last year. And if one thing told us, or if we could take away one thing from last year in regards to the playoffs, is that they came literally this close to losing to an Indiana Pacers team that got past Cleveland for what it's worth. Like they weren't unbeatable even last year. They came one game away from losing in 7 to the Indiana Pacers. Bucknut says defend the tree with Boston, or defend the tree, Jesus. Defend the 3 with Boston. Get physical with New York and Detroit. Got me out here sounding like a tree hugger. Ian 7064 says OKC's bench could probably be a whole starting 5 in their own right. Modalium, sorry if I mispronounced that, says OKC is very beatable. 216K says 2 game 7s, correct. Yep. Andrew Coachell says if they win this year, we should storm the queue. Agreed. 801 Magnolia says, do you see the Pistons falling behind after expected suspensions incoming? It's certainly possible. Like those are going to be big losses. I'm assuming that the suspensions are going to be lofty, especially for Stu. But JB and company, they fight. You can never count them out. They are a scrappy bunch over there in Detroit. And if we just take a look at the standings right now, as of 12:28 Eastern time over here during this stream, the Cavaliers currently sit at 4th in the Eastern Conference at 33-21 as winners of 9 of their last 10 games. That's crazy. 4-game win streak for Cleveland. Detroit 39-13 themselves. They won their last 2. Winners of 7 of their last 3, and they are 7 games ahead. Tough to catch up. All-Star break is coming up. Got this game, got this game coming up against I want to say the Washington Wizards, and then you got the All-Star break, and 7 games is a big gap. Like, I think the Cavaliers can get to the 2nd seed really easily. They're just a game and a half out from New York of being the 2nd seed. But Detroit, it's a tough one. Like, they're gonna have to win out down the stretch, and they're gonna have to get Detroit to lose some games. And for what it's worth, right? They do play Detroit on the 27th. That should be a big time matchup, and then they will play them. They have a game against Brooklyn sandwiched in between these two, but they play Detroit on the 27th, and then they will play them again on March 3rd. And in between that is a March 1st game against the Brooklyn Nets. So that could go a long way in determining the number 1 seed. But the Cavaliers, it's not going to be a cakewalk for them. If we just look ahead here, they got Washington, Brooklyn. Those 2 games should be very beatable. You never want to chalk one up as a W, but it's pretty close as it gets in the modern NBA. But you never want to take your opponent non-seriously. Charlotte, that's going to be a tough one. OKC, don't need to say anything about that. We know that's tough. New York, that's tough. Milwaukee, who the fuck knows? Detroit, again, Brooklyn, as I mentioned, and Detroit, those games, those are big. Boston, that's going to be a tough one. Philly, that'll be a tough one. Orlando, Dallas, Milwaukee, and Chicago. That's all the way through March 19th. There's some very tough games in there. Some winnable ones, but it's not going to be as simple as we'll breeze past all these and we'll expect to catch Detroit, because it's going to be tough. There is a pretty big gap right now. Pee Wee Burnt Pizza says number 1 seed doesn't matter. To a degree, I do think I would still like to have it. If time and time again the Cavaliers, the seeding has rarely mattered for Cleveland over these last couple of years. They just need to get in and win some damn series. I would love to get the number 1 seed, though. We'll see. Ian764 says, Cooper Flag about to be introduced to the dean's office. That's a good one. By the way, if you haven't seen the stats that were put out for Dean Wade by B-Ball Index, which you guys know I constantly love quoting. I consider myself a B-Ball Index aficionado. Dean Wade, man, he's phenomenal. He is in the 93rd percentile in terms of matchup difficulty, meaning you can throw him out there on the opposition's best. He's in the 99th percentile in defensive positional versatility. That is the 4th best out of 525 qualifying players. In terms of perimeter defense, he is in the 88th percentile in perimeter isolation defense. He is in the 98th for ball screen navigation. So he's very, very good at navigating screens out there. And it shows, right? It shows in a major, major way. If you look at all the LeBron metrics, right? That's their famous, like, I don't know, what's the best way to phrase this? That is what they do. That's what they provide over there on B-Ball Index, the LeBron scale, the LeBron and obviously offensive LeBron. You'll have to dive in yourselves. I can't give you a complete breakdown on what that is, but there are metrics that they have in place to describe how impactful a player is. And they track these things in such a crazy way. It's not even funny. I could really go on and on about it. But at the end of the day, he is a ratings darling. The ratings darling that Dean Wade is, people do not understand. And I wish that more people would put some respect on his name, considering he's only making $6.6 million. He's got his issues, most of them regarding availability and offense, right? But Dean Wade remains an impactful player. And after this trade, to me, I think that he's become even more impactful, right? I love that. I love that Naquan Tomlin is emerging. I do believe that he should be a factor in the rotation, at the very least in the playoff rotation next year and beyond. But it'll be a true toss-up for him, because when everybody's healthy, I don't have Naquan Tomlin as an initial player in my starting in my playoff rotation. I think he instantly becomes the 11th man. And there are other players like that too that unfortunately will have that designation too. I think that there will be games where you can use him and you're going to need him for the energy that he provides. But it's tough, man. I mean, there's a lot of mouths to feed. There's a lot of mouths to feed. And Strus, he's still here. He will play. I can guarantee you that. Kenny Atkinson loves him some Max Strus. He will play. Dean Wade will play too, assuming he is healthy. But again, that's never a given. All I'm trying to say here is that Dean Wade is a better player than people give him credit for. And I think that the argument about, oh, what does he do in the playoffs? Well, no shit. Half the Cavaliers roster is struggling in the playoffs. So I mean, give me a better argument than that. Availability is a bigger one to me. All that said, I think that's probably a good place to end tonight's stream, 50 plus minutes in. Again, if you're still here, do your boy a favor, man. Hit that like button, even if you're over on Twitter or Twitch or wherever else you're streaming this from. Do your boy a favor, head over to YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber to the It's Cavalier podcast. You never know how much it helps. If you want to support the show in a small but helpful way, consider becoming a member over on Patreon or here at YouTube for as little as $1 a month. A little bit goes a long way. But even if you don't, your boy will still be here making the content, come rain or shine, win or loss, because I love this team. And I know you guys do too. Go Cavs.